Hi team, so I'm recording this video so that it will give you some idea of how we can possibly use IXL to support us with our intervention or remediation opportunities with our kids, all right? So we know that we have 3 days of intervention with our kids. Given that, we can plan on having probably 2 days on instruction, okay, more practice, and then on the third day, IXL will be a good resource to use to see if our kids are proficient already. They actually learn the skill or the lesson that we want to help them with. IXL would be a great tool to to show proficiency or mastery, and that would help us a lot as we go forward. Now, before I show you how we can actually use, I don't know if you have already explored IXL by itself, but the nice thing about IXL is that one, it has embedded ACT prep questions. So Algebra 2, you can use this also as one of your probably practice stuff for your ACT review. Same thing with pre-ACT. I think all of the type of testing is available here. Now, where do you find this? Okay, if you go to learning, if you hover over learning, you would see that we have the skills plan. So the nice thing about this is the skills plan. If you click on this, IXL has built-in skills plans depending on the state standards, textbook that is being used. So as you can see on my screen, I already pinned the textbooks that we are using. I also pinned the Arizona State Standards. So if you want to focus on the standard skill, you can simply click this and then it will give you different skill practices for each specific standard. Now, since AGA uses Pearson, and they have them here, so I pinned all three of those of our books. In the case of college math, Thinking Mathematically and Math for Your World pretty much has the same content, so I also have it here. Now, how do you find these books? So they are they are arranged here, so you can filter the grade, you can filter the subject, of course, and then if you look for the state standards that are shown here, even science have them, okay? Now, you can look for the textbook. So textbook Pearson is, I don't know if I missed it somewhere here, probably on the high school one. Yep, they are the upper grade math. So they even have the Blitzer over here as well. So you can actually identify the book and pin them. So for example, this one, this is our Pearsons. As you can see, I pinned Algebra 1, Geometry, and Algebra 2. So you might want to do that for yourselves as well. Now, why am I showing this? Okay, so let's say, for example, you are remediating Algebra 2. If you would like to focus on the skills that are being done in your classes in the textbook, you will notice that the skills plans here are according to the topics in our textbook, like specifically, like it's the same content. So for example, in let's take a look at quadratic functions and let's work on factoring, okay, like this one. So if you want to do factoring as your remediation, there are skills here that you can already look at and assign to your kids for practice. So how can you assign this skills to your kids? They don't need to look for them. All you need to give them is the three, oops, sorry. If you will see at the end, there's a 3-character code. You just give that to the kids. They will type it on the search button and they will be able to click on the skills that you are wanting them to practice. Okay, so like for this one, I open it on a different one. Okay, so they will be factoring this, so they will answer, giving the factors and stuff like that. All right. Let's say if you are working in geometry and you want to work on, or say for example, even though you're in geometry but you want to help with multiple multi-step equations, you can use the Algebra 1 textbook and then use these skills. All right. So using IXL as a resource could work in two ways. You can deliver lessons from IXL, or you can use the skills to check mastery or proficiency on the skills that you remediated. So let's start with possibly using IXL as a resource for lesson, because um, I'm pretty sure that some of us are getting anxious about preparing another thing for remediation. We actually don't need to do that, because we can still use the PowerPoint presentations that we use on our actual classes. Because remember, the topics that we are remediating, we should have taught them already previously. We're just going to revisit and reteach them in probably a different way or a different perspective. Now, if you want to use a different or a fresh resource, we can use IXL for that. So one thing you can do is, say for example, you search for your topic. So let's say we have factoring trinomials. Let's just have them, okay? And the search result will give you different options. You can actually have math skills, and you can also use math lessons. So if you want to use a lesson that is presented in IXL, you can actually have that here. So let's say we select factoring quadratic equations, okay? Now you will see that it is a complete explanation. Now, one thing that I don't want us to use is to have the kids read this, because, you know, the reason why we're remediating is because we want them to learn more from an actual person, not from the computer. But this one could be a guiding tool that you can use, all right? Much of the lessons have built-in practice skills that is connected to the lesson. So if you click that and open it, again, it's going to be a skills how do you call this, a skills page. Now, why is a skills page very important? Okay, the nice thing about IXL compared to MathXL or MathLab is that kids can get more meaningful feedback. Unlike in MathXL or MathLab, when they get something wrong, it will just give them the correct answer, no explanation whatever. That's one thing that is an advantage of IXL. So kids, if ever they get it wrong, there's a detailed explanation, and I'm going to show that in a few. Aside from that, there is also how do you call this? An identifier of mastery or proficiency, and that is what we call as the SMART score. Okay, if the kids hit a SMART score of 80, that means they are proficient already. If they get the 100, then that's mastered. All right. For remediation, and you can use this also as one of the ways to practice with your own classes. 80 SMART score is already good, because that is equivalent to proficient. All right. So how does this thing work? How does the practicing with skill work? So let's have this example, 21, 22. So that's going to be, it's asking for the solution already. So this is negative 22 and negative 1. I got it correct. I got it wrong. Okay. So as you can see, it will be explained here. All right. So you will see here. Okay. So this was the question. There is the reminder. All right. And then how to solve it. This is something that you cannot see in your, how do you call this? You cannot see this in MathXL. That's why I highly recommend having this used. We can use this for remediation. All right. So let's try. What did I do? Oh, because I have it as, why did I get it wrong? Oh, all right. Okay. That's always the bigger one, probably. I don't know. But anyways, all right. So let's have it done again. So here we have, you factor out j is equal to 0. And then the other one is going to be positive 9. Hopefully, I get it right. There we go. So as you can see, every time I get something correct, on the easy level, the SMART score increased by 10. The moment you get a mistake, so let's just put 8 and 2 here, your SMART score will get lower, all right? And then when you get it correct again, it's going to increase again, all right? So the progression of this will be depending on the level, how many correct the kids got. So it will increase the level of difficulty as it goes. And one thing that you will also notice is that as the level gets a little bit harder, the SMART score moves a little bit slower. Okay, unlike before wherein it's always 10, 10, 10. And then when it's getting to the more challenging stuff, then the SMART score gets a little bit slower. So there is no guaranteed number of questions for them to answer to get an 80 right away. So it depends on how well they are doing with their practice. So again, this is one possible resource that we can use and utilize very well during our remediation. So hopefully you can refer to this video that I recorded to help you explore more on IXL. So if you have some questions, just show me an email or Mr. Munoz, and we are more than willing to help you. All right. Thank you, guys.